Hello, this is Trisha. Hopefully this video will work. I know nothing about videos or videography, but I was notified today that someone from the sisterhood group mentioned my name, and I just wanted a chance to clear my name because it's not true what she said. Had I known that this even existed, I would have done it as soon as I knew. I found out today, and I'd like to take care of it as soon as possible because I care so much about the ladies at Sisterhood Philia, including Lee, including Jody. So many people that I got to know and care about and pray for. So I'm hoping that instead of back and forth by text through Facebook, that you can hear my heart and what I want to say to you. So Jody made a video, and I just got a little clip of it, but she said that I was going around and friending everyone on the sisterhood, and I was trying to cause problems. That couldn't be further from the truth. I am not a problem causer. I'm more like a protector. Like, I don't expose people. I don't throw people under the bus. If somebody's gossiping to me, I haven't always done this. Like, I've messed up, obviously, but my heart and my goal is to divert the conversation so that the focus is shifted off of that person. That's my character. If any of you watching this know me from the sisterhood and know what I've been through with my family, you know that's not my character, because I've been through some really hard things, and I probably, any other person would have and feel justified in throwing people under the bus in my situation, but I felt that I wanted to protect that person through it all. It didn't matter to me that this person was in the wrong. I'm talking about myself right now, my family. It was up to God to deal with. Do you know what I mean? Like, I had no desire to hurt this person or expose this person, and that's somebody that's the closest to me. So if I can do that for someone that's as close to me, trust me when I say I'm that way all the time. My friends know me. I'm everybody's advocate. I will stick up and defend everyone, and I've actually done the same for James and Lee. I still am always trying to point their intentions back to good. I feel that they have good intentions. I feel that there's some confusion and some immaturity on their part in their walk with God, but I don't feel that they are being vindictive or trying to hurt anyone. So just wanted to put that out there. I absolutely did not friend anyone. I didn't talk about you, Philia Ministries Sisterhood, with my closest friends to try and sort it out. I did, because I feel that's allowed. Like, God gave us people in our life to work through things with, and I really struggled. That's how much I cared. I really struggled with how I was feeling after being so involved. So I did work through it privately with my closest friends, but not private message privately. I did not speak about anyone. And all I can say is the truth. You can believe me or not, but I promise you I wouldn't do that. It's not my character, and I didn't do that. I even had a gal message me. And by the way, I was deleted and blocked. I didn't know until I went back to look one day, and I put two and two together. I tried to figure out what I did, and I realized probably because I liked the Philia Exposed. But I didn't even know. And when I found out, I just kind of let it sink in, and I would try to figure out what I could have done. Realized what I probably did to have it happen, and moved on with life. That's it. I didn't email, text, private mess. That's not my life goal. My My goal in life is to be the best mom I can be for my kids. They are my ministry. All of my time goes to them and work. I promise you, I have zero desire to hurt Philia, anybody in the group, especially Lee. I do not want to hurt you. That's not true. I'm not trying to cause problems. I only shared my testimony because it was such a lonely time in my life, and I have started to hear other people have this similar experience, and I felt that I wanted to share it because it felt very lonely. And if I can explain in a picture form what it felt like, it was like this: like if God and I had been sitting in a room together my whole life. I've been a Christian since I was 12. I'm 42. And like chair to chair, knee to knee, and he and I, and him experiencing my life with me and being there for me through the hard times and the good times, and I conversate with him all the time. We go back and forth. I feel that I have spent so much time with him, that I have a discerning spirit, that I can hear his voice. I can hear his small, quiet, still voice in my heart. I know what it sounds like. And so I've gotten in a habit of conversating with him back and forth through my life, kind of like watching these things happen as they happen and discussing with him. I feel like I've cried on his lap before, that he's held me before, that he's carried me before, laughed with me. Like I've just had this really special relationship with him. And during the time where I was trying this new way, what I thought was being more obedient, it felt like for the first time, he left the room. That is the worst feeling. That has got to be the worst feeling in the world. I've been through some really hard things. That's by far tops everything off, because when you have God, he gives you a peace that ascends all understanding. It covers the worst thing that could possibly happen to you. So I could see that I was going through trials and seasons, but I had him with me. And whether or not this is anyone else's experience, I felt like he wasn't there. I know he was there, but in trying to do my best, do better, the more involved I got in the sisterhood, the more I did start to wonder, like, do I wear a head covering? Should I not celebrate the holidays? Like, specifically, I feel like these are the things that keep coming up, and that's what came up for me. And the confusion I feel is, Lee and James, I see your heart, and I see that you want to be obedient. So do I. I want to be obedient too. Every time I read in the Bible about wisdom, the beginning of wisdom is obedience. Like, my spirit lights up. I love that. But obedience for me is internally, in my mind, in the times where I'm tempted and I go through things, and the Holy Spirit talks to me and reels me back, and I'm obedient to the Holy Spirit and I don't sin. That is obedience. Or when my mom and dad, I'm 42, but I still honor my mom and dad. And when I feel that they're in the wrong, but I show them respect and I honor them anyway, nobody else can see that. Only God can see that. To me, that's obedience. So I feel that maybe the sisterhood has so many, like, don't do this, don't do that, do this, do that. And I know that Lee has had such a hard time with New Age and symbolism, and she's really hurt by that. And I understand that that's her experience. I think I'm just making a guess that all of these people really respect her and care about her, and they are taking her convictions and making them their own. And some of that has to do, Lee, with the way that you present the things that you're speaking of. you imply a lot of things without actually saying them, and then you say, I never said that. But God so obviously gave you a gift of teaching, a gift of leadership. I see that in you. I don't think that it's the right time. But because you have that gift, people are drawn to you. They believe you. They believe what you say. And for this reason, it's so important that
it's 3:45.
You are careful and you're sure that what you're preaching is legit. And one way to be sure is by having people shepherd over you. I don't want to keep repeating myself. I've already written my testimony, and I am not trying to beat a dead horse at all. I'm just giving my 2 cents, and I wanted to tell you that absolutely I did not friend anyone after I was deleted from the group. I did make friends while I was there, and I had friends already in my friend group, my friend whatever on Facebook because of that, but I never intentionally or really did anything after that. This has been a process of sorting through for me. When I found Philia Exposed, again, I was relieved because I knew I wasn't the only one that went through that, and I liked it. And I didn't even realize that the sisterhood had kicked me out yet. Anyways, so I wanted to share why I made my testimony. And basically, I already said it, because it wasn't to bash James really. It wasn't to, exposing sounds like such a negative connotation, like I was out to get you. That is not the case. I'm definitely not out to get you. But I do feel it's important what I went through and what I had to go through to undo what I went through. So I was sharing it not to argue with people that don't agree, but to give anyone hope that had maybe been through what I had been through or felt the same way. Because of how I explained how it felt that God left the room, that was awful. It was really hard. That's why I made the testimony. I just wanted to respond in this video to James and Lee that they wrote on my testimony, and oh my gosh, the comments are forever on that post, and I didn't want to keep going back and forth. It's important to me enough for you to hear my heart and not see it in a text. So I just kind of wanted to go a little bit through the parts. I printed it so that I could read this to you in response to what you said, and maybe explain to you where I'm coming from. Hopefully you can try to put yourself in my shoes and see where I'm coming from and how I could have possibly come up with this conclusion or this experience. I want to try and explain myself to you. So first of all, I don't know if it was James or Lee, but under James' name, you said that you wanted to speak your piece for whoever has ears to hear. I understand that. That's why I wanted to make this video today, so I could clear my name. Pretty much what Jody said wasn't true. So I understand you wanting to protect something that's sacred to you. I do understand that. And you took the time to reiterate what you believe. You said you believe that salvation is a work of God, that you're saved by grace through faith. We do not teach or believe a work-based salvation. But you kind of do. This is what's so confusing. You're both so genuine and sweet. You say you don't, but you do. You do. You do. I don't know how else to say that. By people isolating themselves, taking themselves out of their church body where they should be involved in every week, where they should be involved in some kind of group with their friends that also love the Lord. For people to feel they need to isolate themselves from that is awful. That's awful. People need each other. Not just philia. They need relationship. They need companionship. They need to have people, real people in front of them to speak through things with, to live life with. So the fact that one of the fruits of your ministry and the Hebrew Roots ministry is you are encouraging people not to go to church is awful. It's not okay. By suggesting people shouldn't go to church, you're saying that they are basically worshiping a false god. No, they're not. They're trying to learn about God and be accountable and be involved and not allow Satan to isolate them. They aren't doing anything wrong, and yet what you preach makes them feel as if they're doing something wrong and they don't want to hurt God. You make it seem like if you love God, you won't do these things, which is awful. You constantly say something similar to this, that everybody is acting like they aren't saved. You constantly talk about the lukewarm church. And by doing that, you're setting a precedence for the people that follow you to feel like everyone else is doing something wrong. That backs up being saved by works. So, yeah, you're not coming out and you're not saying that you guys don't have to do works in order to be saved, but you are saying it. And I hope you can see that. I hope you can take yourself out of your situation, out of your own mind, and put yourself in someone else's shoes and see the damage. You said if you claim we are lying about those beliefs, then you're 100% false. I didn't ever say anybody was lying, personally. I think you're confused, not lying. You said, that is so horrific. Is there any fear of the Lord? Yes, I fear the Lord. Constantly, all the time in my heart, in my mind, I'm constantly in communication with God. I do fear the Lord. And why would you put that? Why would you question, do I fear the Lord? What makes you question that? You go on to say you don't have to agree with all of what we believe, but your obsessive videos, posts, and slander are shameful. Like, those are big words, first of all. Every time you've said that about Marsha or anyone, I personally can attest to the things that they're talking about, and it's not obsessive. It's trying to prevent somebody else from hurting the way that so many have because of what you guys are teaching. I don't think anybody's slandering you. I'm definitely not slandering you. You said this disdain you have for the Torah is very confusing. What's confusing is that you keep mixing the Torah with being obedient. The Torah specifically, like, I have a 1-year Bible that I love, that I've been reading one version, one translation or another on and off for 20 years, literally. My 1-year Bible, and every day is the New Testament and the Old Testament, a psalm and a proverb. Not one time when I ever read the Old Testament do I say, oh, it doesn't apply to me because of grace. Oh, I don't have to do that because of grace. That's not what happens in my heart. What happens is I get excited when I read about obedience. Like the other day, I highlighted these things. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. That's what faith is. They used to have to prove God in the past by works, but now we just believe it, and that's a beautiful thing. By believing, you may have life in his name. Receive me according to your word. I love that. I love his word. His word is alive. His word is like honey to my soul. I love it. There's not one part of it that I read and have disdain for or feel that I am entitled to disobey it. Not one time does that happen to me. Here is more in the psalm. My heart stands in awe of your word. I rejoice at your word as one who finds great treasure. I love your law. Highlighted. I love your law. I do. I love this book. I love God's ways. I love his direction, his purpose. His way is the best way. And I will never get sick of reading this book. And I will never think that doesn't apply to me. It always applies to me. Great peace have those who love your law. That's what you guys are saying too. You're saying that you're blessed and you have peace because you follow what he's asking you to do. Nothing causes them to stumble. Lord, I hope for your salvation and I do your commandments. My soul keeps your testimonies. I keep your precepts and your testimonies, for all my ways are before you. Give me understanding according to your word. Deliver me according to your word. My lips shall utter praise, for you teach me your statutes. My tongue shall speak of your word, for all your commandments are righteousness. Let your hand become my help, for I have chosen your precepts. I long for your salvation, O Lord, and your law is my delight. Highlighted it. Not for this video. This was on June 1st. Because I love it. Because it's so true. Let my soul live, and it shall praise you. And let your judgments help me. I have gone astray like a lost sheep. Seek your servant, for I do not forget your commandments. Okay. So I think the breakdown, the confusion is that it's offensive to me. I'll just speak for myself. When you write things like, do I have this disdain I have for the Torah? I don't disdain God's word. What's confusing though is the things that you guys are convicted of, that you imply the Lord wants us to do, specifically such as no holidays, head covering, etc., etc. Those the main things. It causes one to think, what else am I doing wrong? What else should I not be doing? What should I be doing? And it slowly puts you into this box where you're focused on what you're doing, what you're not doing, what you should, what you shouldn't do. And it's bondage. That is how they used to do it, and it didn't work. So Christ died once and for all, and we don't put our effort into trying to be good. It's internal. It's an internal obedience. So you asked, why does that word upset you so? The Torah. It upsets me specifically because of what I just said. You are claiming it means the same thing as it means to me, and it doesn't. With what I just read in the Word, you've grouped in your rituals with the Torah. It's because you're grouping in all the things you shouldn't do, and you're calling that Torah. That's not true. You're confused. When you say things like this, if you don't feel believers need to obey the Sabbath, feasts, dietary laws, etc., that's between you and the Lord. When you say that's between you and the Lord, come on, let's be real. You're basically saying that if you don't feel convicted in doing those things, then maybe God hasn't gotten to you yet. Maybe you're not there yet. Maybe your maturity level isn't there yet, or something. That's what you're saying. It's like You're not saying it, but you're saying it. I've heard you say that before. That's between you and the Lord. Really? It's so judgmental. It's so judgmental. You say perhaps Jesus didn't abolish or do away with these things. So we don't all agree with this.
It's 4 o'clock.
But this isn't even close to heretical teachings. So my problem with this, sorry, this is turning into a long video, but for you to say that perhaps Jesus didn't abolish away. If this were true, we would still have to sacrifice animals, and we clearly don't. So if you obey one part, you have to obey all of it. And yet you pick the ones you want, you justify them, and you say, oh no, we don't have to do those other ones. That is nonsense. And then you say, if you want to accuse us of encouraging others to look into these matters and even be obedient to them out of love, then accuse us of that all day long. I am. That's what I'm accusing you of. You guys are not legit in your teachings or your doctrine. You are wrong. And it's wrong to encourage others in your very immature relationship with God thus far. It's not okay. You say, do not accuse us of heresy. Because I remind you, your accusations, I can say, I'm not accusing you of anything, I'm just pointing out the fact that that's what you teach. What did I accuse? I'm not accusing you of anything. I can say with certain you're absolutely false and worthy of rebuke. Okay, I'm totally open to that rebuke. I'm always open to that. If I need to be, God will handle me. But it sounds more like you're threatening or something. And cutting down believers in the name of the Lord, it's shocking. Like, what's shocking is that you don't see that you might play a part in that as well. That's what you choose to spend your energy on. And you said something else about how this is what our goal in life is, or our mission in life, to bring you down. That's ridiculous. It's literally 3:59. Since I woke up this morning, I had a whole to-do list that I have not yet gotten to because I'm so disturbed that Jody made a video about me and said to delete me and said something actually false about me. I've been praying, I've been worshiping, I've been trying to handle this, and I have so much work to do. This is not my mission in life. I do not enjoy how I feel regarding your ministry. It is not a hobby, and it's not something I enjoy doing. It's rather frustrating. This last thing you said, I pray you seriously pray about this and consider your future in regards to this endeavor. What does that mean? Are you threatening me? I have prayed about this a ton for months, months and months. I found out about the sisterhood in August. It's almost August. Like, that's almost a year. So thank you for telling me to pray. I have prayed, and I continue to pray. This is another one, and I don't know if this is from Lee or James. It's guided towards Marcia. I repeatedly say in all our groups that you don't have to follow God's instructions. But that's not true. You say it without saying it. I think that Lee is writing this. Yes, you signed it, Lee. Lee, if I knew how to edit, I would put together all the clips of your eyebrow raises, your inflectuation in your voice, your air quotes. It's ridiculous. How can you not take responsibility for that? You are saying that people have to do it a certain way. You are saying that. You said nobody has to do anything, has in big capital letters. But if they don't, you shun them. You kick them out. You delete them. You block them. You shut the conversation down. You quiet. You silence people. that don't do it your way. That's not okay. That is why people are saying this is cult-like behavior. That's what cult people do. And this is just nonsense. You are free to go murder someone while eating a ham sandwich. Like, that is ridiculous, and you know it. We follow God's instructions because we believe they protect us. Me too. I do too. So, because I don't have a head covering and because I go to church on Sunday, I celebrate the holidays with my family, and I don't celebrate the feasts. Does that mean that I don't follow God's instructions? Does that mean I don't feel protected? Because if one follows you long enough, they would be led to believe eventually that they aren't protected the same way you are, that they aren't covered, that they aren't safe like you are. That's what you're saying. You said to us, we would love to see others experience the same thing. I do. I do experience the same thing. I'm so blessed when I'm obedient. I'm so, so, so blessed. That is an internal thing that God and I talk about constantly. It has nothing to do with the things that you're teaching. So for you to assume that I'm not following God's instructions, and for you to assume that I'm not experiencing blessing and joy and peace, is your opinion, and it's not correct. What other people choose to do is between them and God. That's not true. That's not how you make people feel in your group. You say it on paper, but you don't mean it. The rebuke I gave was that if a spirit is leading you away from God's word, then it's not the Holy Spirit. Like, what do you mean when you say that? A spirit is leading me away from God's word. What do you mean? That's nonsense. And then you go on to also say you think it's my life mission, or you think it's Marsha's life mission, to slink around in dark corners and copy and paste and so to quick. Are you joking me? I don't even think that of you. I don't think that of you. Like, how could you think that of somebody? Like, girl, you need to, like, check yourself. Like, is that really in your heart? You really think other people are out to get you? No, she's not. I don't believe it. I know Marsha cares about you and prays about you and prays for you. The entire page is lies, lies, and more lies. So my testimony, my experience is a lie. I made it up. I just spent 6 hours of my day spending time with God because this issue has come up yet again. Like, I have time for this. And now you say that I'm lying? Why would I do that? I wanted to, this other one, this last one again, it's I think it's from Lee. It's in response to one of the comments under my post, my testimony. And you say, if you're going to plaster things from a private closed group all over your page, at least put them in context. We were discussing false converts in this conversation at Actual Believers. The verse says that those who practice lawlessness. I didn't write it, Yahweh did. So you read the word, Lee, and you point your finger at everybody else. That's not cool. Like, that's not nice. You don't know what people are going through. You don't understand what's in their heart and the dialogue that's happening between them and God. People who actively practice living against Yahweh's instructions are acting lawlessly. Like, who are you talking about? And what business is it of yours to decide if they're actively practicing living against Yahweh or not? Like, who made you in charge of deciding who is and who isn't. And you don't think actual believers who don't follow all of God's instructions are going to hell, really, because you really do imply it. You do. Like, take responsibility for it. You imply that people are not going to make it to heaven, that people aren't good enough. There's only the select that are getting taken, or you make people fear standing in front of God because of what they do and don't do. Like, be real. You said following saying, I don't think actual believers who don't follow all of God's instructions are going to hell, which is what you constantly talk about. That's like your saying is lukewarm church. You said, I don't believe that, and I would never say it. That's not true. You say it all the time. And then the last part you said, I seriously don't understand what you're doing or why, but it's awful. But why isn't it awful that I began to experience such loneliness when I began entertaining what you preach, what you teach? It turned into judgment, and I felt further away from God, not closer. Why is it only awful when you have a negative emotion? Why can't you, especially being in a place of ministry, try to see it from anyone else's point of view? Just like I was saying, the amount of implications that you give against all those things you think are bad. It's kind of like your tone, and sorry, but out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And it's clear that you're judging others by the way that you talk, and the way, maybe not outwardly, publicly in the Philia or the YouTube, but in the sisterhood, you are very judgmental. And you do imply that people might not go to heaven. You do. That's all. That, and you did email me and ask me why I would be involved in such a demonic thing. You said, I saw that you liked the Philia Ministries Exposed group. I'm sorry you've had such a terrible experience. Thank you, but you don't even take the time to figure out what may have happened with me. You just said, I'm sorry you have had such a terrible experience that you feel impelled to be a part of something so demonically inspired and slanderous. Like, that's just immaturity, and it's being a victim. So, that's all I wanted to say. Sorry this was so long, and yeah.